What's up, guys? Welcome back to Sunday Sports Club Podcast, a podcast all about sports told by a woman. And today we have a special guest, Lily Shimbashi.
That's right.
I'm not trying to botch that. She is the founder and CEO of Sportsish, a community that aims to bridge the gap between sports and pop culture. And she has done literally just that. I am obsessed with the Instagram. So everybody welcome Lily. Hello.
Thank you. Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm so happy to be here in sunny LA.
You guys, when I tell you we were recording for like 5 minutes and I forgot to hit the record button. So we're going to briefly digest what we talked about in those 5 minutes. So Lily is from New York.
Yes.
Born and raised in New York, lives in Manhattan,
Yep.
city girl.
City girl.
So how does that compare to LA?
Well, I mean, I drove today, which I never do. I don't have a car at home.
Which blows my mind.
I know, but we don't need it.
But the idea of getting in my car and like going and grabbing coffee,
I know.
I guess you could walk to coffee.
I walk. We have everything within a 5-block walk, and I mean everything.
But how, I mean, carrying all that stuff. I'm like, I keep
Stroller.
diapers, wipes. You have to have like a heavy duty stroller.
Yes. Your stroller is your car. That's kind of like the New York mom life.
And I would love to see your diaper bag. Like,
Yes.
what do you have in there?
I mean, everything. Like, I even have like a portable potty in there.
Oh my, that's impressive. I'm like, that's so New York of you.
It's so New York. Yes.
But I don't even live in LA. I live in Orange County, for those of you who don't know. And in LA is so different from Orange County to start off with, because Orange County is just like, it's not a city, it's suburbia.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
very like, you have a family if you live here.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But it's amazing.
My sister lived here for a second and she's single and she was like, I have to leave.
That makes sense.
How's the weather in New York?
Freezing. It was snowy when I left last night, and it's like 8 degrees today. So
I'm from Michigan, so I know the cold weather, and like I kind of like the seasons.
yeah,
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't mind stepping outside and not needing a coat.
no. I like the seasons until winter comes, and then I don't need it.
I feel like the seasons around the holidays are fun, but
Yeah.
then once you get into literally anything else, you're like, wait, never mind.
Yeah, just January to March, I could not do.
Actually, yeah, January to March was like dark. I feel like that's when
Dark.
seasonal depression is like, okay, we get it. Like, let's step it up.
Yes.
Apparently, people here in Southern California still have seasonal depression, because I saw a woman yesterday with a puffer coat that went down to her ankles, and it's 55 degrees.
It's too much. She needs to touch some grass.
Yeah, like she was on a trail walk, so hopefully she did just that.
Yeah.
But okay, so you're a mom, you're a CEO, founder of Sportish, you're a badass, honestly.
You're nice.
So tell me about how you came to like Sportish.
Yeah. So I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. I grew up with a dad who worked in sports and 4 brothers.
Okay.
So it was like my life
Got
was
it.
sports.
Mhm.
But all I saw, I was not a great athlete. I'll be transparent.
Me neither. Not especially contact sports. Like I was a good
Yes.
swimmer, but when it comes to anything like soccer, my mom was like, this is
I know.
like horrible.
I know. I tried it all too. Like I remember ending a basketball season and being like, I did not score 1 basket. This is 5th grade. And so I cried.
You're like, okay, so next thing.
Not
So
my
you
future.
found a love for sports and you decided, oh, wait, maybe broadcasting.
Broadcasting. I really believe like the whole if you can see it, you can be it notion. And as a
No.
little girl, like I saw females being sports broadcasters, specifically sideline reporters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I wanted to do. There were no like female presidents of teams yet, which there are now. There were no female referees.
Shout out to the Raiders.
Shout out to the Raiders.
Yep.
It's so epic. But there were like very few women in big roles in sports at the time, professional sports. So I was like, I'll be a sideline reporter because that's what I could see.
Okay. So you go to college
Yep.
to be a sports broadcaster.
Yes.
And where does that take you?
So that takes me straight to the NBA after college. And I was a broadcast assistant, which means I basically like did all of the broadcasters' dirty work. I took their stats, I got them coffee, but it was like the first step, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And whenever I think of broadcasting, because I liked sports growing up.
Yeah.
I like loved football. Even without Isaac, I still love football without him. Growing up with a dad and a brother, my dad went to Michigan State. So then when I went to Michigan State, I was like, wait, I want to go to every single football game.
Yeah.
Went to every single football game until I met Isaac. And then I was like, wait, I'm changing teams that I'm a fan of.
Yes.
But I loved the idea of like becoming a sports broadcaster, which is kind of interesting because now I have a podcast about sports.
Yeah.
But how difficult, because I feel like I've seen people try and go that route of like becoming a broadcaster, but how difficult is it to do that? Because I feel like it's very competitive.
It's very competitive, and like there was a lot of competition within the females who wanted to work in sports, which was so disheartening to me.
Yeah.
I think it's
like you've never been on a football team. Why are you talking about sports?
Right.
Like, fuck
Exactly. Well, that's like what changed my whole perspective is one night we had this female broadcaster in the NBA, and I heard these guys who worked with us, our colleagues, talking about her and her questions and how stupid they were and how like she doesn't know basketball, she doesn't deserve her job. And I just sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, like what is wrong with people? I think that men think sports are theirs. And I think that like I don't want to go into this career that I'm just going to be judged by men on their couch for the rest of my life.
Oh my God. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Like actually so annoying because how many of these men have actually played to a degree? Like I get, okay, you played varsity.
Right.
In high
Sure.
school. Like, okay, sure. Maybe you played rec league in college. I'll give you that. But like, you don't actually have to play the game of football to know football.
Right.
And something Isaac told me that I found so interesting is that there are coaches in the NFL who have actually never played football.
Right.
There's GMs who have never played football.
Totally.
But what? Because they have a penis, they're allowed to like talk about football or like coach or do
They're
any of
verified.
that. I know that makes that's their verification. It's like the blue check mark on Instagram. It's like,
They're like, let's see it.
yeah.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, yeah, you're good. So, yeah, I mean, that's just disheartening to think like, okay, I have this interest, but it might be a space more reserved for men.
Right. Yes.
So I'm sure right now you see like this movement of women and you're like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And I really felt like mainstream sports were being catered to men. Like the way we were delivering sports at the NBA, I was like, this is boring. It's lacking culture. It's lacking emotion.
It's lacking color.
It's lacking color.
Like, can we up the graphics?
Right.
So then how did you develop and like found Sportish?
So I was done after 2 seasons there, and I started to dream up this world of sports that were catered to specifically women and women's interests. And we can talk about the sports, but we can also talk about the ish, which is the culture, the fashion, the relationships, right? How many times have you sat during a game and Googled, like, who is this player dating?
No, literally.
Always.
That's why it's so fun to be an NFL wife because you're like,
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
It is so interesting because when you know more about the players and their background and like even their dating history or like, oh, what they're doing off the field, I feel like it makes sports way more interesting.
Totally. Women like crave emotion and emotional ties. And so I always said, like, if they knew the storylines over the stat lines, by the way, they would care
I hate
way
stats.
more. I know. Stories over stats every day.
It literally stats have nothing to do. Well, they have something to do with sports, but I feel like people get so caught up in the stats and like a player could all of a sudden have an incredible game and they're like, yeah, but like he hasn't really been that good over there.
Right.
And so I love the idea of like linking the pop culture aspect and sports, and you've
Right.
done just that. So walk me through how you've been developed that, because I know so many women like the idea of like having a business or like starting something, but they don't even know where to start.
Yeah. So this goes back to like the whole getting your pink back, which you talk a lot about. But I left the NBA after 2 seasons. My husband and I moved to New York for his job, and I got pregnant, and I had this beautiful baby boy. And all of a sudden, I like let go of so much fear that had held me back for so long because I saw what I was capable of. I had just delivered this baby. I was keeping him alive. My parents at the time were living in London, so like they were not close. I was doing this very much on my own, and I felt my like true inner power for the first time in my life.
It is very powerful to be doing it all on your own and be like, wow, I'm capable of so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just to wear so many hats, and like it is so empowering.
Totally. So and they also nap a ton, right?
I don't know about
Sporadically.
like something's wrong with mine then.
Especially like at first, right? Like when
Yeah.
they're first born, they're just like blobs,
Right.
the cutest, sweetest blobs.
The cutest little potatoes.
Yes. So while he was napping, I really had to face this point of, am I going to go after my dreams, or like, are they done?
Mm-hmm.
Is chasing sports broadcasting done? Well, maybe I can find a way that it's different than I originally thought. So I started to develop this plan, this kind of like company plan for Sportsish. And, you know, I would just like outline and play with names in my head while he napped.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he was a year old, I finally felt like I got to a good enough place that I could start an Instagram account, which is what it started as.
Mm-hmm.
And just started posting for my friends, like, here's why you would care about this sporting event.
Right.
And then it, you know, has grown like very slowly but steadily.
Uh-huh.
And that's where we are today.
Which is insane. I mean, no, you're. I feel like you're talking down. Like, how many Instagram followers does it have?
183,000.
I mean, so you started from 0 and you worked yourself up to there.
Yeah.
And I feel like I see so many other like girlfriends and wives that I'm friends with reposting all of your stuff. And I'm like, it's so interesting because like they're on the in, but you're giving them information that they don't know.
Right. Well, I want to empower women. Like, that's the whole thing. I want women to feel comfortable. Our comment sections, I'm very careful with our comment sections. I'm deleting, I'm blocking, I'm restricting.
I know that the comments you're deleting, restricting, and blocking are men.
Yeah, always.
They're like, oh no, like this woman doesn't like, whatever. Okay, so like what advice do you have for a woman who wants to start a business?
I would say if you like roller coasters, then this is the time. Like, this is what you should do with your life, because it's like you know this. Like, you will log off social media one day feeling like such a high, feeling such a community.
Yeah.
And like so happy. And then you'll log off one day and feel as low as you possibly can.
Literally all the time.
All the time.
My husband's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I just like saw something and
Yeah.
He's like, are you on Reddit? I'm like, no.
Don't go on Reddit, Allison.
No, literally, I know. It's a rule in our house. I'm not allowed to go on Reddit anymore.
No, don't.
But it is a roller coaster.
Yep.
And I'm sure like success hasn't been linear. Like I'm sure there's been ups and downs.
Yeah.
So how many opportunities, like what has came of Sportish?
Yeah. Well, we have a newsletter, we have a podcast, and we're recently doing live events where we bring women together to like watch games.
So fun.
So fun.
I'm like, sorry if you guys hear my dog in the background.
We
Okay.
love him.
We're multi-dimensional. Okay. So like live events. So you're really just creating a space for women to be interested, like find a community outside of just like being a mom or just like women in their 20s or literally anybody, I guess.
Literally anyone. And I feel like I'm speaking to women who never felt enough to be a sports fan.
Yeah.
Right? Because you know like how it feels to be quizzed on your sports knowledge. Can you name 5 players?
I'm like, actually, yeah, I can, but that doesn't even matter.
Doesn't matter.
Like, can you tell me who Josh Allen's dating?
Right.
Beyonce? Like, tell me that.
I know.
I'm like, are you actually a fan of the Bills?
Exactly. And so it felt exhausting to me to grow up with this. Like, prove yourself as a sports fan. So I always say Sportsish is like, you don't have to prove anything to be a sports fan here. There's no one right way to be a sports fan.
Like, you don't need an excuse to like sports. You can just like sports, and that's okay. And I also love the movement of Taylor Swift. I mean, I feel like we can talk a little bit about it. Like, I'm not a huge Swiftie.
Okay.
I'm like she's a great artist.
Yeah.
Like I'm like great.
Yeah.
But I'm not like a huge fan. Oh God. Hopefully I don't get hate for saying that. Like
No.
I think she's cool. Okay. I also don't know her personally, but I feel like so many people are on one side of this Taylor Swift era and bringing women into sports.
Right.
There's the side of like, oh, this is great. Like it's bringing so many female viewers in and like it's a great excuse to be able to watch a game or whatever. And you have this other side where it's like, oh, you're a fake fan because you're just watching because of Taylor Swift.
They're gatekeeping.
I'm like, why is it actually a problem?
Here's the thing. It is
talk to me. I'm like,
you opened up something. It's just such basic math, right? Okay, the more viewers in sports, the higher quality the sports because you have more money coming in from commercial deals. Okay, more viewers means better sports. So if you cannot accept or appreciate more viewers, you're not a real sports fan.
Preach. Thank you so much. And that's such a good point. Like these teams get their money from fans, from people going to the games,
merch sales,
all of that. And so if you don't have money, how are you supposed to pay Patrick Mahomes?
Right. They need money for his contract. They also need money for like these TV deals.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have like thousands of Swifties like turning on the TV just to see Taylor, by the way, which is fine,
Right.
they're still contributing to that,
Yeah.
to the better of sports as a whole.
And also now they're a fan of like the Chiefs. Okay, cool.
Totally.
Who knows, like that might translate into like them being a fan of the team of the city that they're in or like whatever.
Yes.
I like any sort of entry into sports.
Yes, totally.
And so, yeah, the Taylor Swift era, I'm like, people can get off their high horse and like just be okay with it.
Yeah.
And I also feel like something I find so interesting, I'm interested to hear your take. Like when it comes to the MLB or like the NBA, I feel like there's like other leagues.
Yes.
The NFL doesn't have other leagues.
No.
It's literally college NFL.
Right.
And recently, I mean, there's been the AFL and like the XFL, but they're just not, there's just no fan base.
They're not there yet. The
And
CFL too, Canadian
Okay,
Football
yes.
League.
The I feel like the CFL has way more fans than like the XFL.
Just in Canada.
Yes. But it's so interesting to me that there aren't because the NFL has such a big fan base.
Yeah.
Why do people just not care?
I really think just the NFL kills it in general. Like they create an experience for fans that is unlike anything else.
Yeah.
So it's not even worth watching anything else.
It kind of isn't. But I wish that, and I wonder if any NFL owners are listening to this, like, take my advice. But I wish that there was like a pipeline of like this NFL team had a minor league.
Right.
Because if the Raiders had like a junior team that they could pull up from instead of like their practice squad, I feel like that's where they would gain fans.
Yeah.
Because then they would, instead of being like, oh, pick up this free agent, they would say, oh, pull up this guy.
Right.
And I feel like that's what the MLB does, but I'm not sure if the MLB minor leagues have a bunch of fans either.
I know, that's the thing. I don't think many people are going to their games. I am like so interested to see what flag football in the Olympics does.
Oh my gosh,
for the
so
sport.
interested. Mhm.
Like maybe a flag football league is coming.
I wouldn't be surprised. I went to the NFL owners meeting last February.
Okay, slay.
I'm like,
No, it's so
cool.
cool.
I got invited and I was like, okay, this is weird. Yeah, being in a room full of all of the team's owners, GMs, head coaches. I mean, I don't even think there were really players there, but they invited me and Christian Yushak and Shannon Johnson to
So
come and
cool.
like speak about women in sports. And I was like,
Yes.
oh my God. Like, oh.
No, you're the perfect person to
I
do
was
that.
like 3 months postpartum. Like, oh, what about I like girl boss a little too close to the sun, and now I'm stressed. But it was so cool being in the room. But they gave us presentation of like things to look out for, and flag football was one of them. So it's really interesting
I know.
to think that like there might be like a next thing when it comes to football that's like a little bit different.
Yeah, well, I think the moms who don't want their sons playing football because of like injuries and head injuries especially might take a liking to flag football.
This is tea.
Give me tea.
So many NFL wives I've spoken to about, oh, are your kids going to play? Have
Yeah.
said no,
Right.
because of their heads. And like, if you start a kid in football so young, like what are the chances of them having multiple concussions in their life?
Hi.
So the idea of flag football up until a certain point, like I'm fully behind.
Yeah, me
I'm like,
too.
that's great. Also the Guardian caps. I feel like there's so much that's coming in the like football world
Yeah.
that there's going to be more to look out for.
I think safety needs to be a bigger priority over the next decade for the NFL.
Absolutely. And I'm like, that's where I have to keep my mouth shut because
I
that's where I'll
know.
get myself into trouble.
hard.
But it's okay. Okay, guys, you know the time is here. I have to share this because the timing couldn't be more perfect. My family and I are about to finish our house renovations, so we will be moving in very shortly into our new home. And let me tell you, it's such a different vibe than our old house or like any other place we've lived. And as much as I love it, I'm also realizing we're missing a ton of stuff that we've just lost along the way. And we need a lot of stuff to make it feel like us, you know, furniture, kitchenware, decor, basically everything to fit the new vibe. And so it is perfect timing that Macys is having their big home sale right now. It's the best time to update your space because they're offering up to 65% off on all things home. I'm talking furniture, dining essentials, literally I need dining essentials, kitchen items, decor, pretty much everything that you could need to give your space that refreshed new look. And I mean, it's also New Year, so now's the time. And let's be real, I'm here for any excuse to save while getting exactly what I need. What I love most about Macys is that they carry so many of my favorite brands. So I know I'm going to find those perfect pieces that balance that new house vibe while still feeling super homey and comfortable. Whether it's a statement piece for the living room or those little finishing touches like tableware or bedding, they have it all. The big home sale runs from January 29th through February 14th, so there's plenty of time to shop, but you don't want to wait too long because the best stuff always goes fast, which is why I'm literally running there this weekend. If you've been thinking about refreshing your space or just want to add a few updated touches, now is a perfect time to do it. You can check it out all at Macys.com, and trust me, you're going to find so many great pieces. Something I've realized that I haven't had and never have had is a really good dining set. Like I'm talking like the bigger plate, the smaller salad plate, the bowl, the matching cup, mugs. Like I don't know how I've gone this far in my life. Like I am now 30 without a tableware set. Is that what you even call it? But I am running to Macys because I know they're going to have such a large selection, and they also have some of my favorite brands. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled. I don't even want like a total matching set, maybe a few mismatched pieces. But the great thing about Macys is that they have it all, and they have variety, and they have quality pieces, and that's what I'm looking for. I've already went ahead and started making my wish list. So if you're in the same boat, whether you just moved or you're just ready for a little home refresh, I feel like all of us like to get a few new pieces whenever the season changes. It makes such a big difference, and spring is upon us. Finally, this is your sign to shop Macys Big Home Sale. Again, it is January 29th to February 14th, up to 65% off. So be sure not to miss it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This new year, healthy habits don't have to just be for you. They can also be for your pets, especially the dogs, because I mean, let's be honest, they're all another member of the family. Like I don't have one kid, I have 4 kids, okay? And that's why I'm so excited to tell you guys about Farmer's Dog. They make feeding real healthy dog food easy, fresh, personalized. It's human grade, vet approved, and made from real meat and veggies, so you know it's best for your dog. Like when I say real meat and real veggies, you can actually see the meat, you can actually see the veggies. And what makes them different? The Farmer's Dog food is pre-portioned for just your dog based off of their specific needs, whether it's their size, breed, even weight goals. Like I need that. This helps them maintain a healthy weight, which can actually extend their life by up to 2.5 years. I mean, who doesn't want happy, healthy years with their best friend? I do. And let's talk about convenience, because they deliver fresh, ready-to-serve meals straight to your door on a schedule that works for you. Plus, the food is designed for all life stages, from puppies to older dogs, so it grows with them. Actually, one of our old neighbors in our apartment started feeding his dog, the Farmer's Dog, and it was an older dog, and he was like, I swear the dog's energy all came back. He's acting like a puppy again, and that's a story I love to hear. It's nutrition you can trust and the kind of quality that your dog deserves. So if you've ever thought about switching your dog to fresh, healthy food, now is the time. Right now, you can get 50% off your first box of the Farmer's Dog food, plus free shipping. So just head to thefarmersdog.com/Sunday to get started. That's thefarmersdog.com/Sunday for 50% off your first box, and your pup will thank you. This year, don't make resolutions, because let's be real, resolutions break. Instead, start focusing on building momentum, and that's where Momentus comes in. When it comes to living better and longer, quality is non-negotiable, and that's why Momentus is trusted by all the pros, like all 32 NFL teams and top collegiate sports dietitians. They take supplements to the next level, investigating an NSF certification, so every batch is tested for heavy metals, harmful additives, and label accuracy. This is the kind of quality you don't see from most other brands. And if I compare 2 brands, I'm always going to go with the one who is going above and beyond to do all of their testing and making sure it's actually healthy for you. Momentus is all about the basics done right, like protein and creatine. And when they say basics, like they actually mean it. Their creatine is sourced from Crepure, the purest form available, designed to optimize physical and cognitive performance for both men and women. It's all about building that routine with products that actually work for your individual goals, just science-backed results. So if you're ready to take that first step towards maximizing your momentum, Momentus has you covered. Go to livemomentus.com and use code SUNDAY to get 20% off your first order. That's code SUNDAY, SUNDAY, to get 20% off your first order. Start living on purpose today. So like, what's your favorite thing to do outside of like being a CEO, outside of being a mom, outside of like stalking sports?
I'm like, what do I do? I mean, New York is the best place to live. There's always a new restaurant to try. Or like,
Okay, so foodie.
I'm a foodie. Totally.
Love that.
Yes. I think my 20s was just like filled with, I want to be the thinnest, prettiest girl in the room. And like that amount of pressure just like broke when I turned 30 last year. It was just like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just going to live authentically. I'm going to eat whatever I want.
Love that. I literally just turned 30, I think like 2 weeks ago.
Welcome.
I'm like, this is weird.
Welcome.
This is a weird era. But it is so interesting because you become so, I talked about this actually in my last podcast episode, is that you go through your 20s being like, oh, I want to be skinnier. I want to be prettier. I want to be, and now I'm like, literally the day I turned 30, I'm like,
I'm good.
I'm like, I want to feel good. Like I want to work out because it makes me feel good.
Yes.
I want to be confident in my body, but not in like, once you breastfeed and you're like, my standards are going down for confidence.
Down
with a lot of things. And I feel like I love that. Like the idea of 30s, like just being confident and like finding things that like fill you up and like things that you love. That's not like, oh, wow, I finally hit my goal weight because I haven't eaten in 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, that's not the energy
anymore.
anymore.
I'm so over that culture.
Me too.
And
I'm happy you're here.
I know, I'm like, I'm happy you're here. I'm like, you're in my house. But yeah, turning 30 is like such an interesting thing. I also think that turning 30 makes you think like, okay, what have I accomplished up to this point?
Yep.
Am I confident with that? Like, do I want to achieve more? Like, what's next?
Right.
Because it's like, think of New Year's, but it's an age. It's like, okay, my 20s are done. This is like new year, new me, except new 30s.
Decade.
Yeah, new decade. And I feel like a good time to like think, okay, this is what I accomplished in my 20s. I'm proud of that. Now, what do I want to accomplish in my 30s? And how am I going to do that? How has your husband been supportive? Because I know like starting a business while you're also like taking care of your children, this and that, like how has he supported you?
Yeah, he's got this like really quiet confidence about him, and I'm more like type A, and so we really balance each other. But he looked at me after I left the Jazz, after we moved to New York, and while I was holding my baby, and he said to me, "Do you want to pursue this? Do you want to pursue this? You've been talking about this like dream company for years. Let's do it." And we had no money at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We were in this 1-bedroom apartment with this little baby, no family nearby, but just like that confidence in me helped me start. And I think that's everything. And I feel like Isaac does the same for you.
Yeah, I feel like I don't talk about this part of like my story a lot, but Isaac and I had recently gotten engaged. It was 2020. We recently got engaged, and I went to him and I was like, I want to start a YouTube channel, and I think I should quit my job to do that. And he was like,
Are you sure?
It's like, ma'am, you literally have 1,000 subscribers. Like, what are you talking about? And I also wanted to start my Airbnb. So I was like, well, I'll start my Airbnb, but I'll be able to pursue this other thing. And he was all in. And he even had one of his best friends was like, are you sure? Like, she's going to leave her job and like be on social media. But I feel like it's that quiet confidence in yourself. Like, you have to believe in yourself, because if you don't, it's not going to go anywhere. It's kind of like manifesting, but not manifesting because you're doing the actionable things.
Right.
Or like you can't take no for an answer. You have to, if one thing like is a hiccup, you can't be like, like the world's against me, I should just quit. Like you have to keep going.
Right.
So like you finding all of your free time in like being a parent is wild to me. And it speaks volumes, because I think that that's where people struggle a lot, is like, it's not going to be easy, but you have to do it. Like if you want to get there, you have to do it.
That's why I mean, like a roller coaster, like it's roller coasters are uncomfortable, by the way. Like,
Like, no,
they're
literally.
fun, but also like, what is this feeling in my stomach? Like, I kind of want to get off.
Right.
But that's like how I feel every day. Like, I kind of want to get off, but this is also fun and exciting and exhilarating. So I'm going to stay on in hopes that like the end is worth it.
And I feel like also you have to be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, are you proud of yourself?
I'm getting there. Like, I feel like
You're currently like sitting on a podcast talking about like your company.
right.
And I'm sure like the live events and opportunities, you have to be like, holy shit, pinch me.
A little bit. But don't you also feel this like you're never fully satisfied, which I think is a good thing, right? I think that motivates and drives, and it should be like that, because when you feel satisfied, you want to stop.
Yes.
But it's like, I have a hard time stepping back and being like, oh, this is great. Like, look at me, look at us. Like, we did it, because I'm always thinking towards the next.
I couldn't agree more. And I also have like a bit of imposter syndrome where I'm like, no, like this isn't real, or like, no, people don't care, or like this and that. And it's crazy because you just make excuses. But if you would have told yourself that you're in this position 5 years ago today, you'd be like, holy shit. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of that person. Or, oh, wow, I want to be that person.
Right.
And so, yeah, I kind of struggle with that too, though. I'm like sitting here like gassing you up, but I'm like, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And so now how do you feel about women like changing this landscape of what sports used to be? Because if you look at like 10 years ago, ESPN, gag.
Different place.
Like,
different place.
I'm
Like,
pretty sure they were all men.
Literally.
Okay.
And ESPNW
has
completely changed. They're like posting pop culture. But I want to go back a little bit, just like, I guess this actually does apply to your question. And you're talking about gassing yourself up, but you also have a hard time with it. I think, Allison, that you like changed the trajectory for female sports fans.
Oh my God.
No, I have this theory. I have a full theory about it, because you helped women see this side of sports that was not like on the field, but it was catered to them.
Right.
And that was like maybe some of their first experiences of seeing sports news or like sports adjacent things that were catered just to them, just to women. You're doing Get Ready with Me, you know?
Like, me crying on the internet when my husband gets cut from a team. Like, I am changing the sports world.
No, you were.
Like,
you did.
GMs are it's crazy. It is so wild, because you think that, oh, me posting this video, like nobody's gonna see it, or like, oh, I'm just a girl. Like, I'm literally just getting ready for my husband's football game, or I'm just a girl crying because my husband lost his job. But I don't think people understand like the power of social media, but also like the power of like you can do something big. I'm not gonna say what GM. One of the GMs. Well, I'm like, my husband only lost his job at a few places, but one of the GMs after my husband lost his job apparently got like so many people like actually like personally reaching out to him like, oh, why did you cut Isaac Rochelle?
I love it.
And he told Isaac, he was like, yeah, I've never gotten a response like that. And I'm like, that's wild.
Wild.
That just a girl like starting on social media, like making videos, had the power to like then now the GM's like, Allison, he's like, who's this Allison? Kuch? Yeah, like wait, man, we need the viewers. Well, thank you for. I mean, that I feel like that's wild to hear that.
No, it's true. Like, trust me, I'm in this world every day. It's true, because leagues have been scratching their heads for years at how to speak to their female fan bases. Like they haven't understood, and they haven't been catering to them. It's changing, right? But like, think of this like timing here. You were part of that change, like especially in the NFL.
Are you?
I mean, yes, but I feel like it started with you. And now the NFL is catering to their female fans better than any other professional league.
I can agree to that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm like, what do you think that other leagues can do that the NFL might be doing, or even if the NFL isn't doing? Like, what do you think where do they start?
I mean, getting like women in the front offices, right? That's a big piece, but also leaning into the culture of the sport and telling players stories, not just their stat lines, and giving us this emotional connection with these professional athletes. Right. Because like, who wants to watch a game when they don't know anything about the people on the field?
Literally not me.
I don't.
No.
But once I know like something,
it ties you in, and it like pulls you in. There's another girl, she's on TikTok, her name's Claire, and she's like posted about her husband like in the MLB and like going up and down, like minor league and this and that, and it's made me interested. I'm like, oh, or like another one, Rachel Gomber, like her husband's a pitcher, and I'm like, oh, like I'm like, how is he already up on contract? Like, I didn't even know that was possible.
Right.
And that's speaking from somebody who's been inside a sports league. I'm like, oh, comparing it to a different league, there's so many things that are different.
Yeah.
So how do you see like women changing that?
Yeah, I think just like more eyes
Mm-hmm.
and like the Super Bowl last year, 47% female, which is crazy.
I'm like, we're doing that. You and I are doing that. Yeah.
Yes, that's half women viewership. That is nuts. 10 years ago, never.
No.
So I think women
10
need
years
to
ago, it
watch.
would have been like, I'm watching for the commercials.
Yes.
We love the commercials, but like we're also watching the sport.
Right. We're watching the sport and we know the sport and we know
Mm-hmm.
things about the sport. And so, like, just putting more women in positions of power, like what they've done with Kristen Juszczyk and her line is everything. Women are just like, they're feeling empowered. They're feeling like they can be comfortable as a sports fan. And I think that's the future of sports.
I'm like, yeah, Kristen, I feel like is such a good example because she's paving the way in her own way.
Yes.
I'm like, fuck off with the V-neck. The giving a man version of her shirt and the woman version, and the only difference is like a V-neck.
V-neck.
I will never wear a V-neck.
Never, no.
I'm sorry, but the people who are like making those shirts, I'm sorry, but I'm like, we need something new, and I think that's where it's like all these new things and like seeing behind the scenes or seeing this and seeing that. I'm like, thank you.
Right.
Like this is what the sport has been needing.
Yeah.
And have you seen changes also in sports media, like broadcasting and like sports reporters?
Yes, it's actually crazy. I mean, not just more female representation, but like I said, ESPN has a W section. Bleacher Report just released a W section. And it's not just for female sports, which we could talk about all day. Like
Right.
that representation has grown immensely and it's deserved to. And I want to be a part of that change, but also just for women who watch sports. And that's huge, right?
Right.
That they're posting like Saquon Barkley and his family before the game instead of Saquon Barkley during the game.
Or is Saquon Barkley like doing stretches? I'm like, I don't want to see this man like stretching his groin.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, thank you. But like him and his girlfriend and their kids together, yeah, like that's the content we want to see. That will get us to watch the game.
But and it's so interesting because like a men sideline reporter isn't going to go up to Saquon Barkley when he's saying hi to his family.
Right.
He's going to be like, oh, I need to go get this other guy like catching balls.
Yeah. Yes.
Like we don't want to see balls. Like we want to see the family. We want to see like the content that's like heartfelt and like makes you like a player, like a team are more invested.
Right. And also like female photographers in the leagues. Like that's going to be huge. They're going to get the footage we want.
Right? I'm like, thank God. I'm like, I don't need to see 50 viewpoints of a man catching a ball. Like
same.
one is okay. Everybody knows that a new year comes with New Year's resolutions, and usually those are focused around fitness, health and wellness, sleep, and overall just a better well-being. And one very important thing I am carrying with me into 2025 that I had in 2024 and 2023 is my Oura ring. I'm currently wearing my Oura ring right now. I love how cute it is. I ended up getting the gold color and I'm wearing it nonstop. One, because obviously I want to track everything in my life, but also because it's so cute and it goes with every outfit. Like I can wear it out to a dinner date night. I can wear it along the pool. Like it is so cute and stylish, but it also serves such a great purpose. If you guys have been following me on social media for a while, you would probably know that I used my Oura ring with the Natural Cycles app to track my cycle to make sure I didn't get pregnant. And then I also used it to get pregnant. And now I love using it to track my activity, my steps, also my sleep, which is very important now that I'm a mom. I'm like, wait, did I sleep good or do I need to improve? So the Oura ring is a revolutionary smart ring that tracks health data, insights, and daily guidance. The Oura ring is also empowering to women so that you can be your own advocate. I love the fact that I can track my workouts throughout different phases of my cycle and seeing how my body's reacting to it and be able to make changes. Again, I am such a big fan of my Oura ring, especially now I have a kid and I'm so curious as to checking my sleep score every single morning because I want to know, one, how I slept, but two, if I need to give myself a little grace throughout the day. I'm like, okay, if my daughter's napping, should I be napping? And it allows me to be kinder to myself, but also just to have an overall better sense of how my health is. If you have ever thought of trying the Oura Ring, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. You can use it for so many different things in your life. Again, sleep, fitness, steps, like there are so many different facets to this ring, and it's also cute when you wear it. I hear of so many women wanting to track their cycle for a variety of reasons, and Oura Ring is surely to help out with that. Again, it works with the Natural Cycles app, and it allows so many benefits. So if you're interested in trying out Oura Ring, I highly recommend it. Do it today and commit to a better you, a better self, and better health. This year, I'm focusing on all those little self-care habits that make a big difference because, let's be honest, it's all about consistency. And one thing I'm prioritizing is giving my skin the care it actually deserves, and that's where Osea comes in. Their Under Aria Algae Body Butter is a total game changer. Let me tell you, this body butter isn't your typical lotion. It's rich, luxurious, it absorbs instantly without feeling greasy, and honestly, that has stopped me from using lotion in the past because I hate that greasy feeling. The first time I tried it, I was blown away by how soft and hydrated my skin felt, and like the scent, oh my gosh. It's a blend of grapefruit and lime and cypress and mango. It's like a spa in a jar, okay? It's delightful and it's light and airy. I've gotten compliments from so many people asking what I'm wearing, and their surprise is just my moisturizer. And the other day, you know who I saw taking my moisturizer? Isaac. What I love most is that Osea is all about clean, clinically tested skincare. They use ingredients like Under Aria's seaweed and ceramides to transform dry winter skin into silky, glowing skin. And it's not just about looking good, it's about feeling amazing in your own skin. So if you're ready to give your skin some extra love this year, now is the perfect time. Osea is offering 10% off your first order site-wide with the code SSC. Just go to OseaMalibu.com to grab your own Under Aria Algae Body Butter and start your glow up today. Trust me, your skin will thank you. So that's OseaMalibu.com. Use code SSC. Do you feel like some men are bored of stats? And like, do you think some men are liking this more of the behind the scenes and like even like what you're delivering, like pop culture? Do you see a men following?
Yeah, we have like a large percentage of female followers, which I think is really cool because even like women in sports, a large percentage of their followers are men. Like female broadcasters, a large percentage of their followers are men. So like we've created a very female forward community.
Love.
However, like men like our stuff, they comment on our stuff. Like we try and make it lighthearted and fun.
Right.
And that is appealing to a lot of guys. So
it's funny because everybody assumes men like sports. Like they just assume.
Yeah.
And they just assume women don't know anything about sports.
Right.
So I always find it so interesting. I feel like whenever I've talked about the behind the scenes of like the NFL or like, oh, this is what happens with the contract or this is what happened. And a woman will comment and saying, oh my gosh, I just told this to my boyfriend. He was like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's the point of like, this is the interesting part and like why women have a space in sports. Why women have a space in sports because they're delivering things that like the old sports world didn't think to deliver initially.
Yes, totally. And men like it too. They really, Isaac follows Sportsish.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, Isaac's a big fan. I'm like, Isaac showing me in the middle of the night, like, look at this. I'm like, okay, Isaac. So why is it important to be invested in the players' personal lives, like getting to know them beyond the stats?
I just think these are humans, and like a lot of times they'll put on a helmet or a jersey and we like don't look at them as such. A lot of them make a lot of money, so they feel like untouchable.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like these are humans who have stories, who have families, a lot of them really compelling, like beautiful stories.
Right.
And it all goes back to the emotional connection when we feel like we know about them and are connected about them. It's really, this is a Brene Brown quote. It's really hard to hate people up close. I love that quote.
Yeah.
And so when we know these athlete stories, like maybe we'll be a little bit more kind.
Hopefully. I feel like women will definitely be kind. I'm like, I'm really dogging on men. I'm like, there's some good men out there.
There
Okay?
are.
But there's also the scare. Like, whenever I get a hate comment about something with my husband related to football, it's 100% usually men.
100%. Yes, always.
And I feel like that's disheartening. But something I find so interesting about football specifically is that football is the only sport where you're not really seeing their face.
Right.
Like they have a helmet on.
Yeah.
So like while they might be on the sideline and like get a close up, like I feel like people acknowledging their like behind the scenes or their family or their story is so I feel like it shows in like the fan numbers because if you put a guy in a helmet, you're like, okay, he's just a number. But then you take off the helmet, you're like, oh, that's the guy that did this, this, and this, and like he's married to this person, and like I feel like that's where I truly love the stories. And like if you look at the NFL TikTok, the clips that are going viral are not like
they're not the plays.
It's just not the play. It's usually a story about one of the players.
Yeah, totally. That's what we crave, I think, as human beings.
That's what I crave. I always compare it to a reality show. Is like the NFL. There's drama in the NFL, and so when you know about the drama, we become way more invested.
Yes, 100%.
There's stuff happening all the time that like maybe we don't all know about. I'm like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
I'm like, Allie,
you're like, give us the tea. But there is stuff always happening that if you look close enough, you'll start to acknowledge it. And it makes it way more interesting.
Yes, it is better than Bravo.
Absolutely. I'm like, you see end of season right now, all these head coaches getting fired? Like that's
crazy.
I'm like, so you're blaming him. So based on your knowledge of like all of these athletes, have you learned any like fun facts about anybody that you're like, oh, that's cool? Or like, what do you like to know about players?
I like to know how they were raised and like the stories of them and their parents. I think Josh Allen's really compelling. He was raised on like a farm.
Isaac was raised on a farm.
Okay, my husband was raised on a farm.
That's why you like it.
That's why I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's like a humility that comes with it, right? And anyways, like was just not sought after as a football player.
Right.
And like was DMing all these junior colleges like, hey, my name is Josh Allen. Will you give me a chance? And now to see what he's done at the Bills is really insane. And
I mean, some would say he's like one of the best quarterbacks currently in the NFL.
Yeah, I think he might be the MVP.
Definitely one of the best, but is he the best?
I love Lamar
Jackson. Lamar Jackson is just wild because he can throw, but he can also just like, he's a beast.
Run a marathon.
Yes. That's really interesting.
Those two are like tied in the race. But it was interesting. They played, obviously, is it Monday? That was yesterday, last night. And Josh and the Bills won and Lamar lost. But the voting for MVP goes in before the season enters playoffs. So I will be very curious to know who wins.
Lamar or Josh.
See, drama.
I'm like, drama. Thank you. And who do you think is the nicest or like coolest guy in the league right now?
Oh my, that's such a good question. I think I'm really into Jalen Hurts.
Really?
Yes.
I think I went to the first Eagles game in Brazil and it was not a good game for Jalen Hurts.
Oh shoot.
But I feel like so many women, female fans, like love him.
I'll tell you, like, he's attractive, but also
in a different breath. He has an all-female team. So like his agents, he's surrounded himself by women. And it's just like, you can cut this if you need to, but the Harrison Butkers of the world, when we have I will not be cutting
like
that. I will not be cutting that. So yeah, I think it's definitely like a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Somebody I love, and I mean, I know him personally, but Justin Herbert.
He seems great.
Is like so sweet. Like if you get to know him as a person, but then he goes out and like balls out on the football field. Yeah. He's such a quirky, fun personality. And if you guys are looking to be a fan of a quarterback that like might not be like first, I mean, wait, he's like one of the best quarterbacks still.
He's pretty good.
But I think that meeting him, like when you think of quarterbacks, certain quarterbacks have the same mentality. It's like, I don't want to get into it, but they have a certain like swagger to them,
right? That
they're like, and like a little braggy, a little bit of like, are you going to be nice to a waitress if your meal's wrong? But he is like one of the most genuine, down to earth, sweet souls.
I love that.
So That's what I like to see. I like seeing guys who like are in these big positions with a lot of money and then they're like the same person.
Yes. I also should shout out a non-quarterback. This one's like a little understated, but his name is Kobe Turner. He plays for the Los Angeles Rams.
I love Kobe Turner.
I love him so much.
He sings
Like well,
really well.
beautifully.
His fiance is adorable.
Yes.
Big fan of that.
And he dances did you see he did like the Wicked? You know how everyone was doing the Wicked dance?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did it in his hotel room before he played the next day.
No fucking way.
Just
Wow. I
recorded himself dancing to Wicked. And I'm like, this is the energy we need.
like he has a personality outside of just like fucking
Football.
of tackling people, right? He's defense.
Yeah, he's defense
Okay.
and he's really good. And then he's dancing too.
He was first for the Rams, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
first round. Love that. I stand behind that. We love Kobe Turner.
Yes.
We also love his fiance. But it makes it interesting because
It
you're like,
does.
okay. So with AFC and NFC championships, how are you seeing female fans getting to playoffs?
Oh my gosh. It feels like more females are watching football more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm seeing everyone rocking the off-season brand.
Love.
It's so good.
It is so good.
I mean,
I'm
I
like,
haven't seen it in
finally.
person, but I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's a community of female fans now.
Mm-hmm.
Like they feel empowered, they feel knowledgeable, and they're excited. So I don't know. We have a lot of Bills fans that follow Sportsish. We have a lot of Eagles fans.
I was
that
going to
follow
say
Sportsish.
one of the teams I always wanted my husband to play for was the Bills.
Yeah, they seem great.
Because they have such a good fan base. Everyone always asks me like, "Oh, what team do you want your husband to play for?"
Yeah,
And it wasn't like what they probably would have expected, like Miami or
Right.
like the Rams. No, it was always the teams who had a diehard fan base. I was
Yes.
always like Chiefs or Bills.
Chiefs
I
and
was
Bills. Oh my gosh. And they play each other on Sunday.
Terrifying. Literally, when this podcast is released, they're playing. So
Taylor versus Haley. I mean, not literally. They're friends, I think, but it's compelling.
we see them like fighting and like halftime. Like this is like what we've all been wanting. Okay, so football's about to end.
Yeah.
What sport are we going to next?
I think we're going to women's sports.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah. The WNBA specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a massive fan of the WNBA. We have the Liberty in New York.
Okay.
They won the championship last year, and it's really compelling to watch. Like, it's super competitive. And then March Madness happens, like, obviously, late February, March.
Mm-hmm.
And the women's tournament is way more exciting than the men's tournament.
Okay, I'm getting on board with that.
There you go.
What is the Raiders? What? Not the Raiders. Vegas.
The Aces.
The Aces. Okay,
They're really good.
their facilities were right next to each other, and I will be rooting for the Aces this year.
They're so good. Yeah.
I feel like when my husband played for the Raiders, like a piece of my heart stayed in Vegas.
Yeah, I get that. They have Asia Wilson, who has been the MVP, I think, 3 times. And she's like the most gorgeous human being. And she was just spotted out with an NBA player on a date.
I'm like, I'm gonna be looking at Sportish for the lowdown there.
Yes.
And one more thing before we end the episode. I find it so interesting that women can like have children and then go back to their professional sports.
Insane. How?
A man could never. That's all I have to say.
Could never.
A man could never. Okay, and then right before we end off, these are some rapid fire questions.
Ooh.
So say one or the other. If you want to talk more about it, you can.
Okay.
Vintage jerseys or modern?
Vintage.
I've never heard one person say modern.
They're all ugly.
Yeah, no. Rom-coms or reality?
Rom-coms.
Okay. Reality. Running a marathon or cheering on a friend who is running the marathon?
I did run a marathon.
Oh.
I ran the New York Marathon a year after I had my baby. And it was the hardest but best thing I've ever done.
Okay, so you're running the marathon.
Yeah, well, I did. Oh, yeah, in this question.
You're like, in this
I'm like,
question.
yes,
You're like, I'm not lying.
I'd rather run.
Okay, I kind of agree. Hot yoga or reformer Pilates?
They're both so hard. Probably reformer Pilates.
Okay, Kelsey brothers or Manning brothers?
Oh my gosh, this hurts my New York heart. But I love Jason Kelsey so much, and Kylie.
Mm-hmm. Great couple.
Oh my gosh, and you were on Kylie's pod.
Like she is everything you expect her to be. She is.
Yeah,
She is one of the most down to earth people I know.
When it dropped, I was like, my 2 favorite people.
You're like, yes.
So yeah, Kelsey's.
Okay, and then WNBA or NBA?
WNBA.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Okay, well, where can the people find you?
we're on social. I'm trying to figure out TikTok. Man, like,
Thank God it's alive.
what whiplash we have been through with TikTok.
Like, I cried for nothing.
I know.
Okay, so Instagram, Sportish.
Yes.
We'll be on the lookout for anything that you guys have coming up because
Thank you.
I will be tuned in. Absolutely.
Thank you. Giving the tea.
No, honestly. If you guys want tea, you can find it on Sportish. And all the other good stuff too, okay? All right, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Be sure to follow Sportish, and I'll see you guys next Sunday.